I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
What is going on, everyone? I'm Tyler Shelton. This is Coffee with a Beauty Reviewer. I'm your friendly neighborhood coffee snob. And today, folks, is my very first Dark Knight review series. And what's a better way to start it off with Batman Begins, the beginning of Batman himself, the Christian Bale era. Because this is actually a review series that is leading up to the eventual release of The Batman starring Robert Pattinson. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. So the movie stars Christian Bale as the titular character of Bruce Wayne, best known as Batman. And this movie in particular, I'm a little bit mixed on this one, just because that when you look back, it definitely looks like that there are some moments that the visual effects looks a little bit dated. I mean, the visual effects is very minimal because this is a movie where they really focus more on like doing a lot of practical effects. But either way, is that like it's still a really great movie just for what it is. It's showing the actual origin story of Batman. I mean, we have seen the origin story done a couple times in the past with like Adam West, with Michael Keaton, and a little bit of Val Kilmer as well. But one thing for certain is that this is the movie that really fleshed out the origin story of Batman. Like, for at least like the first half of the movie, it's all about the setup. It's all about his beginning of how like his parents were murdered by Joe Chill, just a regular criminal, like no one that is connected to Bruce Wayne in regards to like being a big massive villain to him. Because that's the one thing that I just really enjoy so much about Batman's origin story, is that it's not really tied to a actual titular villain to Batman. It's just a regular Joe Schmo, just someone who wanted to rob the Wayne family, and it went very wrong. But I just really enjoy just how they just kind of like dive deeper into kind of like the origins and what kind of like what leads to Bruce Wayne into going like being this kind of like happy boy where he has a loving mother, a loving father, and these are like very influential people in their city. And so he was just like this adolescence that he really had no idea how very dangerous Gotham is. But he can definitely tell that his father and his mother are really good people. And more importantly is that he was just seeing how, especially that right after he fell into this little cave where he thought he was being attacked by bats. But I just really enjoyed just kind of like the whole origin story behind this movie, because it just really dives deep into kind of like his psyche and just kind of like what is the main driving force that he wants to become Batman. Why he wants to become a symbol that criminals will fear. And so I just really enjoyed just that concept. More importantly is that I think, to me personally, I think Christian Bale did a phenomenal job with being Batman. And this was just a nice, perfect segue into his career for being known as one of the best Batman ever. But one thing I really enjoyed about this movie was actually the villains, because we had a few villains in this movie, such as like Scarecrow, Falcone, and Ra's al Ghul by Liam Neeson, and also respectively Killian Murphy, because I think both of those actors are really good actors. They really know how to like play their roles. And more importantly is that I just really enjoyed what Liam Neeson did with Ra's al Ghul. He was kind of like this non-magical villain, because when you think of Ra's al Ghul, you're going like, this is an immortal person who has known numerous of fighting styles in like over 1,000 years. Like, he's a very old character. But I just really enjoyed it that they kind of took away the whole Lazarus Pit part of Ra's al Ghul. But more importantly is that I just really liked it that he was kind of like the very reason why that Bruce Wayne became Batman. He trained him how to fight. He trained him how to be smart. he trained him everything that Batman knows. So I really liked it that they just made like the mentor to be the main villain. But more importantly is that it was just a nice nod to kind of like Batman lore, because like I said before, is that a big part of Batman's lore is the death of his parents right in front of him, murdered in cold blood. But then he had to like understand what it meant to be kind of like on the receiving end of like the criminal underworld. And that's kind of like how Falcone was kind of like the forefront of it, because he found a way to corrupt like the police, he found a way to corrupt higher ups like the mayor. So like I just really liked it, just that they were just showing to kind of like the whole underbelly of Gotham, just the bad side of it. But either way, I really think that the villains in this movie was very well done. More importantly is that I really think that Liam Neeson, he did a phenomenal job. Ra's al Ghul is definitely one of my favorite Batman villains. And more importantly is that this is Batman, so like this is a movie that is all about action, it's all about storytelling. And I just really have to say is that the action in this movie, most of the time it's a little bit too dark, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what is going on. And not to mention that I feel like that the Batman outfit, it seems like it's kind of like you're almost watching Michael Keaton's Batman, because he's kind of like a slow walker, but once he approaches an enemy, he can easily knock them out with one punch. So like you're kind of seeing kind of like this similarity between Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. He's kind of like more kind of like a slow, stealthy fighter, but like the camera is just so close up to like from the torso to the head up. You're like you're just not really seeing so much of like the actual martial arts that Bruce Wayne learned throughout his entire life. So I think that's kind of like the only downside that this movie had, is that they're not really showcasing how good of a fighter he really is. Overall, I really think that they did a really good job with this movie. It did have a couple lackluster action scenes where you really couldn't see everything that was going on, especially kind of like in the midway section. But it just has such a great story. It has a lot of lore behind just what made Bruce Wayne become Batman. You see his origin story done so well. The villain was truly fantastic. Liam Neeson, he killed it. Killian Myrphy, he did a great job as Scarecrow. And obviously, Christian Bale did a great job being Batman. And without a doubt, I really think that this is the movie that started the whole thing about like all the actors going like,
I'm Batman.
You always hear that voice and you're like, where did that come from? It came from this. But anyways, yeah, I just really enjoy this movie for what it is. There are a few moments that feel like that it's a little bit dated, but overall, this is still a really great movie, a great origin story, and I would have to give this movie a good solid 8 out of 10. And again, thank you so much for watching my video. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to my channel as it really helps me out. And also please press that bell button so you'll be notified for future videos. And if there's other movies you want me to review, leave it down in the comments section down below. And also, more importantly, me being autistic, it's not a disability, it's a privilege. And I just want to say, keep on drinking coffee, and I will see you guys next time.